Tuko na wenzetu pale kutoka Internews, Abraham Marita. Tuko na wenzetu kutoka Kenya National Commission on Natcom ambaye anaitwa Angela. Kwa hivyo kumejaa, si kubaya vile watu walivyokuwa wanasema. Si kubaya sana. Kwa hivyo vile tumesema, I think unless otherwise, I think people have settled down na tunaweza mara moja tuende kwa ile official program. Tusongeshe tuone namna gani. Tayari tuko late na 1 hour, lakini najua ambao watakuja kuongea watamezea maneno ndio tusipoteze muda mwingi. Sio? Namuona executive director wa AMWIC, Association of Media Women in Kenya, anaitwa Patience Nyange mwenyewe. Anaingia pale anapiga smile. Kwa hivyo Matunda, ningeomba hiyo ratiba kamili. Saidia hiyo ratiba kamili niweze kuanzisha mara moja. Kenye najua kabisa hata bila ratiba najua ni maombi lazima yaanze. Lazima tupate mtu anavolunteer tu asaidia maombi. Kuna BBC TUM University pia tuko naye kuanzia jana. Tumekaribishwa bwana daktari. Karibu sana. Maombi tafadhali. Kila Ijumaa Jumapili nikipiga simu na niambia niko kanisani, Mbona tupate volunteer maombi? Volunteer tafadhali. Mbona mnakuwa wazito? Volunteer maombi. Akan volunteer Stella Karia to lead us a word of prayer. I'll volunteer on behalf. Najua huo niangushi. Hii tunatumia enjoy tu.
Let's pray. Lord, our Heavenly Father, we come before your presence this morning with thanksgiving. Thank you for bringing us together for the deliberations that we have this day. We commit this meeting before you as we speak about the role of media and its impact to the communities. We pray that God, you guide us through the deliberations and be with us throughout this session. We thank you and we bless you in Jesus' name we pray.
Asante sana. Kama kawaida huo niangushi dada. Kwa hivyo kwa haraka upesi tutaanza, na ningeomba wale ambao wanapewa nafasi ya kuweza kuongea ujikaze kabisa, pia uweke Kiswahili, manake kuna TV na radio stations ambazo zina broadcast kwenye Kiswahili. Wanapata tatizo sana tukikwama kwa Kizungu, sio? Jikaze, uchanganye kidogo. Alafu twende to the point, manake tumechelewa. Najua kuna watu wako na ndege ya saa 8 kurudi Nairobi na gani. Kwa hivyo kwa haraka upesi nataka kumuita Madam Patience Nyange ambaye ni Executive Director Association of Media Women in Kenya aweze kutufungulia mkutano. Tutafuatana vile program iko. Karibu sana Patience. Kidogo watu December ilikuwa watu wamekula kiasi. Kwa hivyo size inapeana kidogo tatizo, lakini najua wameanza gym, tutapunguza, hakuna neno. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. Hamjambo nyinyi nyote. Kwa majina naitwa Patience Nyange. I am serving as the Executive Director, Association of Media Women in Kenya, AMWIC. Professor Peter Gishangi, Vice Chancellor, Technical University of Mombasa. Dr. James Njogu, Deputy Secretary General, Kenya National Commission of UNESCO for UNESCO. Mr. James Omingo, Acting Director General, Director, Kenya Maritime Authority. Leo, Director, Multimedia Services Communication Authority.
Naomba msamaha nyinyi wote, msamehe, nimesahau wimbo wa taifa. I want to apologize and I quickly stand for the national. Pauline, put your instrument. Oh. Thank you.
Uzalendo pia mshikamano, viwe msingi wa umoja wetu, na tupige uhuru na amani, mila zetu na desturi zetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Asanteni sana. Thank you once more. And just for a small addition, we are likely to be joined by the governor from Mombasa, His Excellency Abdulsmad Nasir. He's coming. As you know, politicians are always coming, sometimes like rain. So wanakuja tu. Tuko na hopes kwamba atafika. Endelea.
Asante sana. Mr. Ronald Muiwawi, the Acting County Commissioner, Mombasa County, Mr. David Omoyo, MBS, CEO, Media Council of Kenya, and His Excellency, the Governor of Mombasa, if he finally comes here. All protocols observed, good morning. As I stated, my name is Patience Nyange, and I started my career in Mombasa many years ago, almost 2 decades now. I used to serve as a radio presenter, cam producer at Baraka FM, and I have many memories to tell. But one of my funniest memories is I had this talk of a man who stalked me every day on radio, but listened to me. So for me, he was really an avid listener. And he wondered why I boarded matatus all the time. Because in his understanding, radio presenters were very rich people and therefore needed to own a car. So he made it his own duty to buy me a car. And once brought me the car keys to Baraka FM and left a message packed in an envelope and said, "Patience, this is for you." So when I opened the envelope, I realized it had a car key and told me the car, Baraka FM was on the 8th floor of Canon Towers, and told me my car was waiting for me downstairs. But while I was young and naive. So I took the opportunity because he never left his contact. The following day, I went on air and told him, "Thank you so much for the car keys. However, in the same manner you brought it to Baraka FM, you will still find your envelope at the right place. So please pick your car because your car will still be unmanned for the many days or years. I will not use it." But today, I am old enough and bald. If you brought me an envelope with a car key, I can only pray that it's a V8, and I'll gladly pick it. Colleagues gathered here, ladies and gentlemen, happy World Radio Day. Thank you for inviting us, Association of Media Women in Kenya, to be part of this very important celebration. AMWIC was established about 40 years ago as a non-profit membership organization for women within the media fraternity. It was founded before the UN Women's Conference held in Nairobi in 1985, when women's voices received little or no attention in media. Our mission is to see a society that enhances and promotes equitable development, human rights, and women's rights. We seek to use media to promote an informed and gender-responsive society in Kenya. Today, we are gathered here to celebrate World Radio Day. Let me begin by quoting a statement that has triggered my thinking. I quote, "Radio goes where newer technologies can't, beyond electricity, beyond the mobile signal, beyond literacy. It is the most effective way for delivering information in remote corners, where having the right knowledge can mean the difference between harvest and hunger, between feeling confident or humiliated, or between life and death." We all acknowledge that radio is still the most dominant mass media in Africa, with the widest geographical reach and the highest audiences compared with television, newspapers, and other information and communication technologies, ICTs. Radio is still enjoying a rebirth. A number of small stations have exploded due to democratization and market liberalization, and also as a result of affordable technologies. Today, we have several online radio stations too, thanks to technology. Today, we have seen online, with each passing day, radio keeps proving itself as a development tool. Community and local radio stations have facilitated a far more participatory and horizontal type of communication that was not possible with the older centralized broadcasting model. Indeed, there is a rediscovery of radio in the context of new ICTs, particularly in the realization that technology has enhanced rather than replaced radio. Further developments involving the convergence of radio and mobile telephony are particularly exciting and have made radio into a two-way medium that can help bridge the digital divide by providing a powerful tool of information, dissemination, and access, especially for hard-to-reach rural audiences. Though we have state-controlled public radio, privately owned commercial radio, community-controlled radio, international radio, and online radio, it's evident that the private commercial radios have bigger audiences than government radio. With this fact, it's clear that the state radio is becoming under increasing pressure from local commercial radio in both urban and rural areas. So the question begs, what next for the likes of our own state KBC radio? A lot of efforts have been put into branding and recruitment. The question is the effort paying off? Should we consider making it a public broadcaster as opposed to being a state broadcaster? So this is a conversation we may need to have, moving our own state radio into a public broadcaster. We definitely want to keep our heritage intact. Well, perhaps the Media Council of Kenya and relevant authorities may want to pick that up. So on this very important day, I also want to call us to address ourselves on community radio in Kenya. It's my considered view that we spend more time discussing how best we can offer support on this critical media platform. These are the ones that are on the forefront most of the time. They speak to matters confronting the community from health, education, poverty, human rights, sexual and gender-based violence, child prostitution, child labor, sexual and reproductive health, gender, minority access and inclusion, promoting democracy, social justice, as well as fostering dialogue and promoting peace and stability, among others. Well, these are all areas that we are really keen in at the Association of Media Women in Kenya. Yet, community radio still remain very poorly sourced and remunerated, and lack of capacity. We must strive to build strategic collaboration and partnerships with them in the interest of delivering timely, credible, and accurate information. We must be vested in building their capacity through training, shared visits, content development, IT, broadcast equipment. We must, lest we consider them obsolete. Let's give the best out of them. They too can generate content for us in the mainstream. Most of them, they are there before the mainstream media. You will, for example, not get the informal settlements on time to cover news. Like in Nairobi, for example, Pamoja FM, which is based in Kibera, is always there to break news when it comes to news within Kibera. How about using them to break technical issues, terminologies, or content into consumable packages for their audiences? Well, today, as we gather here, let's try to raise awareness on the importance of radio and its role in promoting freedom of expression and access to information, shaping public opinion, promoting cultural diversity, and creating a more informed society. Let's address the special needs of community radio. A structured conversation about them will suffice. At AMWIC, we recognize the unique power of national and community radio in bringing people together. Throughout the implementation of our programs in various thematic areas, we use radio listening groups to provide educational content and programs that empower or improve literacy, address issues like the FGM, sexual harassment, and especially sexual harassment within the newsrooms. Women empowerment and improving life skills. This has a lasting impact on women's lives, particularly in communities where access to education is limited. Radio has and will continue to play a big role in the advancement of women's rights. By providing access to diverse voices and perspectives, radio has not only empowered women, but has also equipped them to challenge gender stereotypes. For many women, radio is still a crucial part to advance their social, political, and economic rights. As listeners, women have been able to hakifanyi kazi, but it's fine, I'm actually done. So we aim to continue working with different stakeholders, most of whom are represented in this room today, to promote gender equality in the media and to encourage women to take on leadership in the industry. Long live radio. Thank you. So in my future life, I will still want to go on air, and I think, as I said, to Boulder, just to tell people about my experiences in life, because by that time I'll be old enough. So one day, maybe, hopefully, I will own my radio besides uko kwa bedroom yangu. And now, just before I leave the stage, because I'm already here, please allow me to remind people that AMWIC is a membership organization, Association of Media Women in Kenya, and I know a number of you are in this room. The beginning of each year gives us an opportunity to register or renew our membership. We would like to turn all of you into becoming our ambassadors. I know you know someone who knows someone who knows someone who is yet to become a member of the Association of Media Women in Kenya. Our membership is online, very simple. Log on to our portal, it's www.amwic.org. Please register and become a member of AMWIC. Nafurahi sana kuwa nanyi siku ya leo, and I hope tutamaliza hapa tukatafute samaki mahali tusherekee sisi sote kwa pamoja. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana Madam Patience Nyange. Kwa sababu ya muda nitamuita Professor Peter Gichangi ambaye ni DVC Technical University of Mombasa. Karibu sana. Sasa hii mbona haifai amechukui mkatengeneza?
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Professor Peter Gichangi, the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Academic Affairs, Research and Extension. I'm the Acting Vice Chancellor, but I'm a medical doctor by training. So on this very special occasion, I would like to recognize the chief guest, once he's arrived, or when he arrives here, the Governor, County of Mombasa, His Excellency Nasil, Patience, who has just spoken to us, Nyange, Executive Director, Association of Media Women in Kenya, Dr. James Jogu, Deputy Secretary General, Kenya National Commission of UNESCO, Mr. James Omingo, Acting Director General, Kenya Maritime Authority, Engineer Reo Buret, Director of Multimedia Services Communication Authority of Kenya, Mr. Ronald Miwawi, Acting County Commissioner, Mombasa County, Mr. David Omoyo, MBS, Chief Executive Officer, Media Council of Kenya, the CEOs and representatives of various institutions and corporations present, distinguished guests, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning once again. It's a great day today. I'm particularly honored to be here to celebrate with you this very important day. To commemorate World Radio Day 2023. We can all agree that radio is still one of the most trusted and widely used forms of media in the world, and it will remain so for a while. Radio not only allows us to celebrate humanity in all its diversity, but also provides a platform for all voices to be heard and represented. We thank the Media Council of Kenya for spearheading this year's World Radio Day celebrations in our coastal city of Mombasa, as well as Technical University Mombasa and all the other partners they're working together with. The media training with practitioners and media managers at our university, which started on Friday through Saturday, and the sports events which took place yesterday, provided a forum for productive discussion among media stakeholders and much needed link between academia and industry. We strive as a university to advance knowledge and its practical application through teaching, research, and innovation to serve the industry and the community. As a result, our collaboration with Media Council of Kenya to commemorate World Radio Day this year is consistent with our core mandate as an institution of higher learning and contributes significantly to the development of media practice in the country, particularly the coastal region. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to inform you that Technical University Mombasa is the only premier institution in the coast region that offers media and communication courses from certificate all the way to degree level, and we have arrangements to get to master's and PhD. And I have an open invitation to all of you to be able to join Technical University of Mombasa to be able to make your dream come through. As a technical university of global excellency in advancing knowledge, science, and technology, we support media development in the country and especially the coastal region, where we recognize prior learning and enhance talent through our media program. And let me take a moment to describe what is prior learning. A lot of us find ourselves in the space of media, but have trained ourselves. And through that program of recognized prior learning, because we are looking at competencies and skills, we can be able to certify you that you have certain competencies or skills, and you get enough, maybe you can be awarded a certificate, a diploma, and from there onwards, then you can join our degree program, our master's, our doctoral studies. So even though you have not gone to anybody's formal school, there is a pathway for you to be able to actualize your dream. So your dream remains valid. I'm pleased to report that the vast majority of our media graduates are in attendance in this meeting today, covering this function, which is a demonstration of our success in media training. They are our ambassadors in the region, promoting our values and peace. We are currently, as I mentioned, going to be having master's and PhD programs for our journalists and media practitioners who want to advance their knowledge and professional skills in the field of media. And at this moment, I can inform you that our collaboration with Media Council of Kenya will bring those professional courses to your close proximity, because soon TUM will be offering those courses. And therefore, you don't need to leave coastal region to go and seek that education elsewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, in keeping with this year's theme, the Technical University of Mombasa continues to promote peace in our great country. Our students are members of the University Peace Club, which operates under the auspices of University and Colleges Peace Association of Kenya. And last year, during the elections period, our students took part in the 47 Days of Peace by advocating for peace and producing radio programs for our newly commissioned Tumo Radio. And again, I have an open invitation for you to look for Tumo Radio, where you'll be able to look at and be able to see technical matters broken down to issues you can be able to comprehend and be able to understand. So that is going to be our voice, our community radio voice, and we are working with the Communication Authority, Media Council of Kenya, to ensure that dream also becomes reality. In the last general election, some of our students participated as election observers in different constituencies in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, as we work towards enhancing quality of education, teaching in the working industry, we continue to create and strengthen partnerships, linkages with like-minded institutions to enhance our faculty and student experiences. Just this morning, we commissioned the Tumo Radio. We would like to appreciate the county government of Mombasa for continued support of our university, which has significantly contributed towards the growth of our institution. We acknowledge the media, regulators, and stakeholders for strengthening the much-needed linkages between academia and industry. However, as a university, we still require more support, particularly with the media equipment, broadcast studios to improve our student practical experiences. I was humbled this morning to note that what we consider to be a small studio is indeed above average studio. So we do appreciate what management at Technical University of Mombasa has done to ensure that radio studio becomes a reality. We humbly request our governor, His Excellency Nasil, and stakeholders in this forum to continue to support us as we work together to achieve national agenda through provision of quality media education, research, and innovation. As I conclude, as a university, we cannot do it alone. We need your help, resources to make the Technical University of Mombasa a center of excellence for media training, particularly in the coastal region. And I thank you for listening to me, and God bless all. Thank you.
Okay. In my other life as a communication expert, I'll tell the next speakers to get one punch message that the media can go with for news. Sio? I'm just giving you free advice. Pata ile moja mbili ambayo ukiongea na news ya saa 7 tunasoma, sio? Kwa hivyo na mwadika Dr. James Njogu from the Deputy Secretary General, Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. Ndio, Michelle, tafuta 2-3 words ukiweka radio iko na sound bite. Karibu sana daktari. Karibu.
Good morning. Thank you. I'll look for a punch for the media. I know that is very useful. But before that, allow me to salute the very many delegates, all participants in this. And allow me to start with the representative of the PS State Department of Broadcasting and Telecommunication, if present. Of course, our hosts within the county, the Governor of Mombasa, His Excellency, Honorable Abdul Wasad Nasir, the County Commissioner, Mombasa, we are happy to see you. Director, Multimedia Service Communication Authority, Engineer Berut, Vice Chancellor, Technical University, Mombasa, represented by Professor Peter Gishangi, who we have just listened. Thank you very much. CEO, Media Council of Kenya, David Omoyo, Communication Authority, Kenya Ports Authority, Association of Media Women in Kenya, Patience, you have just spoken, the Director Media Training and Development, Mr. Victor Bwire, representative of different media institutions, and journalist present. I think tachanganya Kiswahili na Kikuyu, tuliambia awali tuchanganya, ingawaje mi si mtu wa media, kwa hivyo Kiswahili kitanikanganya kiasi, but I will still make it. Hoja ni information iwafikie. I think kwa media radio mwasema hivyo. Kwanza, apology kwa mkurugenzi wa Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, ambaye angependa kuwa nasi hapa, lakini hakuweza kwa ajili ya kazi zingine ambazo anazo. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to begin by thanking each one of you here today for coming to commemorate the 12th World Radio Day since UNESCO declared the day. That is in 2011. The theme of the World Radio 2023 is Radio and Peace. Radio na amani. Peace is at the heart of UNESCO. A mission and radio player, an important part in fostering dialogue between different communities and that promoting sustainable peace. Without peace, we can't have sustainable development. As we commemorate this day, ladies and gentlemen, we are reminded of very important task played by radio. By radios. Radio, as one of the oldest media forms, set every day's agenda of millions of people. Hii ni kweli kwa ajili kuna wengi ambao wanaisikiza radio hata kuliko TV. Kwa hivyo maana yake kwa ajili ya amani, radio ni ya muhimu sana. That's the point we are delivering. Radio therefore has the capacity to set the peace agenda or the conflict agenda. And my plea from the Kenya National Commission from UNESCO, dear journalists, is that we play our role of informing people. We ought to deliberate or deliberately set the peace agenda. Amani ni muhimu na radio ni muhimu. Radio also has the imperative or interpretive function. As we broadcast news, we interpret and give meaning to it. In interpreting news, ladies and gentlemen, let us take extra care as duty bearers to avoid being judgmental, discriminatory, or stereotypical. In so doing, we promote social cohesion and avoid igniting conflict. Dear journalists, as radio broadcasters, we also have a duty of diverting the minds of people from war and aggression. As UNESCO says, and remember this, in fact, UNESCO is founded on basis of peace. And one of our key phrases is that since war begins in the minds of men and women, it is in the mind of men and women that the defense of peace must be constructed. This is a phrase since 1964, when Kenya joined UNESCO. We have been singing and will continue to sing. Amani ni muhimu sana. Bila amani, sifikiri kuna jambo ambalo lawezekana. Ladies and gentlemen, we all remember the accusation leveled against media in 2008, post-election violence in Kenya. Our coverage of conflict must endeavor to bring peace and not fuel conflicts. Further, we must work toward promoting intellectual dialogue through our broadcasts. Radio should be seen as a unifying tool, and we must therefore strive to have broadcasts with equal representation of different cultures. In so doing, we promote cultural exchange and ensure lasting peace between different communities. To the policymakers present here, it is my plea that we support independent radio devoid of editorial interference. But this is also based on trust. This, together with a safe working environment for journalists and fair remuneration by media houses, will promote justice and democracy as a pillar for conflict prevention and peace building. Imagine a media personality who is not properly remunerated, who is disgruntled in a radio station. Moto inaweza waka hapo. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, allow me once again to appreciate your contribution as individuals and as institutions towards promoting pluralistic and professional media. I note with excitement that yesterday several teams competed in the Amani tournament here at TUM grounds. I mean at TUM grounds, not here, but at TUM's ground. To the winners, congratulations, and be the ambassadors of peace. So we are really all called to commemorate this day and sing about peace, as this is day is decided in a general conference of UNESCO, because it is felt that it is very important to commemorate a radio. And I think I end there, but kabla sijamaliza, Wacha niseme kitu kimoja. I think is a media clip kanatembea around. Na nafikiria ni muhimu hako ka media clip. Nikikaangalia, I see media people. How we communicate and why peace is important. Kijana na babake walikaa sembuleni. Wamepumzika. Wakibarizi kulikuwa na joto sana. Kijana akaona sehemu fulani. Nafikiria hizo sehemu ni farasi. Kijana akauliza babake, na hii ni nini? Babake akamwambia, hii inaitwa ni respect. Anajua wengi wenu mmeshakaona Hii ni adabu. Siku baada ya siku wageni wakaja. Baba yule mtoto akamwambia, we unaona wageni? Hebu waonyeshe adabu tafadhali. Kijana akasimama, akafurusha suruali lake, akaonyesha wageni adabu. Sasa wageni walifadhaika, wakashindwa, na hili nini? Na kijana akaendelea akasema, adabu yangu ni kidogo sana, ya babangu ni kubwa. Asanteni sana. Happy World Radio Day. Nashukuru.
Next is obviously Michelle Wanga from Kenya Marine is representing the maritime. Sorry, Marine sijui nimetoa wapi? Maritime. So Michelle anamwakilisha bwana James Omingo ambaye yuko mwenye nje ya nchi, sio? John. So Michelle, go ahead please.
Hamjamboni nyote. Kwa majina naitwa Michelle Wanga, Assistant Director, Corporate Communications, Kenya Maritime Authority. Nimeleta ujumbe wa mkurugenzi wetu, Mr. John Omingo, katika hii siku ya World Radio Day. Nitausoma huu ujumbe kwa Kiingereza. The Governor, Mombasa County, His Excellency Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, the Chief Executive Officer, Media Council of Kenya, esteemed speakers, valued media fraternity, distinguished guests and participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to be here today as the Acting Director General of the Kenya Maritime Authority to acknowledge the importance of media, specifically radio, in educating publics on various issues, and more particular on maritime issues and the blue economy. The Kenya Maritime Authority is delighted to join you all, the media fraternity, in commemorating this year's World Radio Day themed Radio and Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, maritime transport is the backbone of international trade and the global economy. Around 80% of global trade by volume and over 70% of global trade by value are transported by sea and handled by ports worldwide. A percentage that is rising in the case of most developing countries. Allow me to point out that Kenya's legal and institutional frameworks for the maritime sector are strong and robust and have the capacity to streamline the management, use, and exploitation of our resources under the blue economy. Kenya's blue economy, if exploited fully, will improve the country's economy and lead to the realization of the economic pillar encompassed in the Vision 2030 blueprint. In this regard, we emphasize that the maritime sector and blue economy has a great potential to spur national economic growth, and more so towards achieving the Kenya Vision 2030 through the creation of job opportunities, focusing on ports and maritime transport, maritime education and training, in the sense of land-based maritime opportunities and seafaring opportunities, fishing, offshore exploration and mining, research and investments, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kenya Maritime Authority, as the regulator of maritime affairs in the country, has been closely working with the Media Council of Kenya to strengthen our understanding of the media and promote cordial mutual working relations with journalists and the media fraternity so that Kenyans, and indeed all our publics, can benefit from well-articulated, accurately reported maritime information, stories, and news. There is a lot of information within the maritime industry and the Kenya's blue economy that can benefit all Kenyans so that they can fully participate in the industry. We need you to help relay all this valuable information to our people and stakeholders. We need you to help share progressive and inspiring stories to the people of Kenya. We need you to help us highlight the importance of shipping, the blue economy, and maritime activities. We need you to highlight our contribution as a country to the agenda of the International Maritime Organization in improving maritime safety, security, and efficiency of ships while protecting the marine environment. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for support, the media fraternity, but there's a lot to be done. We still need you to take our stories about the maritime sector to the people. Asanteni sana. Have a wonderful World Maritime, have a wonderful World Radio Day. Sorry.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, so first of all, apologies from our CEO, Mr. Ezra Chiloba, who would have wished to be with us, but is engaged elsewhere. So I'll be reading these remarks on his behalf. Maybe before I start, I want to recognize the persons with disability. Usually we have a sign-in cert. So maybe just a suggestion going forward, it's important to have some sign language interpreter, just for inclusiveness in our functions. So the remarks from the Director General, Communication Authority of Kenya, Mr. Ezra Chiloba, Governor for Mombasa, His Excellency Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, Mr. Ronald Mwiwai, Acting County Commissioner, Mombasa County, CEO, Media Council of Kenya, Mr. David Omoyo, Dr. James Njogu, representing Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, Professor Peter Kishangi, representing Acting Vice Chancellor, Technical University of Mombasa, Madam Michelle Wanga, representing Kenya Maritime Authority, Madam Patience Nyange, representing Executive Director, AMWIC, distinguished guests, members of the fourth estate, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to join the media fraternity as we mark this year's World Radio Day to celebrate the unique value of radio, which is the media actually with the widest audience currently in Kenya, is the one that leads before TV. It's even ahead of TV. And permit me to express gratitude to MCK, Media Council of Kenya, and its partners for giving us this opportunity to participate in this event and even an opportunity to share our remarks. So the theme is Radio and Peace. And what we are saying, it provides an opportunity for decision makers to create and provide access to information through radio. What we are saying also, media promotes peace by affecting knowledge, attitudes, and behavior of a critical mass of people. We also say media provides a conduit where dissenting voices, dissenting groups have an opportunity to ventilate, and it reduces prejudice and stereotypes. So we recognize radio as a tool for peace. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Communication Authority of Kenya has the mandate to issue broadcasting licenses. It also administers resources such as radio frequency spectrum. We also develop broadcasting standards, content standards, and we also monitor compliance of the same. So the authority acknowledges the role that broadcasting plays in our national development, and we are committed to creating an environment that will facilitate growth in the broadcasting sector. So what is our status in the media? We are saying the media has evolved from 14 TV stations in the analog time, and we now have 199 free-to-air television station services. In terms of subscriptions for pay TV, it has actually grown from 3.6 million in 2016, and now we are talking of 5.9 million by September 2022. In terms of FM, currently we have 164 FM stations, and this comprises, we've got 13 public services, we've got 51 community, and we have 164 commercial FM. So total is actually 228. So we're also seeing the genre in terms of programs. We now have niche programming, whereby we have stations focusing on sports, news. We have some on education. We've got some on kids content. We have some on farming, health. So we are seeing opportunity created by the digital television, whereby stations are able to do niche broadcasting. So what about online media? We're also recognizing online media, and even during this conference, during the participation of the training of the coast media practitioners, quite a number of the participants actually are running fully online radio stations. And in terms of subscription, in the Communication Authority Statistics Report, as by September 2022, 82% of the subscription of the penetration in terms of internet subscription, and we also had 72% in terms of broadband. Broadband would mean 3G and 4G subscription. What we are saying also is the internet has brought choices in terms of consumption, so that there are multiplicity of platforms whereby broadcasters can deliver their content. According to Ipsos survey of 2022, despite the online, we are also saying traditional media still has a place. And there's a survey done, Kenya Media Establishment Survey of 2022 by Ipsos. And according to that, about 47%, no, actually 82%, 7 million Kenya, let's just talk of the numbers. 27.3 million listen to radio, 25.5 watch TV, 16.1 access internet. And this was Kenyans from ages 12 to 34 million. So you can get the percentages for yourself. So what we are saying is traditional media is still viewed as a trustworthy source. And so I want to encourage traditional media that they have a place. So they should not be quick to copy what the others are doing, because they are kind of a source of validation. So because they make sure their sources are fact-checked and vetted, people trust them. So they still have that role which they need to safeguard. And what is the future of Kenya media? We are saying the future of Kenya media is dynamic. We are saying there is over-the-top services. There is the big data, there is the artificial intelligence. So what we are saying is the challenge really is to understand your audience, their changing preferences, their patterns of consumption, the devices they are using, so that you can adopt and be available in these multi-platforms. Maybe the content may not be the same in all the platforms. It's really responding to your audience. And what we are saying, in CA, we're creating opportunity. The way we create opportunity for digital TV by migrating from analog, we are also in the process of developing another framework whereby we are trying to introduce digital sound broadcast. And the format will be similar to what we did in television, whereby we will have a signal distributor with a platform so that the broadcasters concentrate on developing their content and delivering their content to a signal distributor, but this time distributing sound broadcast. So it's still in the formative stages. We've done stakeholder consultations, which we finished in November last year. Then in February, that's actually last week, we are validating the same comments from stakeholders. And what we are doing actually is aligned to the region. We've done already a strategy under the Africa region, what we call the Africa Telecom Union Forum. We've also done one under the YACO, that's the East Africa Community Organizations. And now we are domiciling, domesticating it within our country. And we are in formative stages. And we look forward to working with all the stakeholders in this so that we have a framework that will guide the introduction of this technology so that we can complement what we have in FM broadcasting. So thank you very much, Radio for Peace.
Asante sana Engineer Bruet. Colleagues, we want to recognize the presence of the governor from Mombasa, His Excellency Abdul Nasir ameingia, na kwa sababu ameingia, we are going to do a raft of change in the program, the approach, so that then we accommodate some of these issues. Given that the governor is also a media owner, we want him to listen to the statistics, and the governor has been assured that there's still big room for radio. Radio still has a big, we just need professional management of the radio, and radio still have a big business that can be done. So because of that, I want the person handling the speech for the CEO Media Council of Kenya to be ready. Summary, we are going to launch the report in a different way. So his speech will include the launch of the report. Then the presentations on the data and the data sound will come after. We want the governor to listen, he might be leaving. So I want to then, at that level, so the person handling the speech for the CEO Media Council be ready, so that immediately after the county commissioner speech, during the CEO speech, he will double up his speech plus the presentation on the summary of the report we are launching today. And then the other things will follow. So, Bwana County Commissioner, karibu sana.
Asante sana mwongoza ratiba ya siku ya leo, Bwana Wabure. Mheshimiwa Governor, His Excellency Abdulsamad Sharif Nasir, CEO Media Council of Kenya, nikizingatia itifaki yote, mashirika yote ambayo yamewakilishwa hapa, mabibi na mabwana, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Nafikiri leo ni siku maalum, siku ya muhimu, kwamba leo tunasherekea siku ya redio ulimwenguni. Kama kunaye yote yule ambaye yuko ndani humu na amelelewa katika kijiji ama vijiji katika taifa hili la Kenya, sote basi tunafahamu umuhimu wa redio, kwamba ni chombo ambacho tangu enzi za zamani kimeweza kutufahamisha ni nini kinaendelea katika serikali ya taifa hili. Mimi mwenyewe nikisimama huku, nafikiri nimekuzwa na redio. Nimelelewa katika kijiji, na nakumbuka marehemu mamangu, Mungu ailaze roho yake mahali pema peponi, kila mara nikirudi kwa chanjio ya mchana nikitoka shuleni, mara nyingi ilikuwa inashikana na mida ya saa 7. So tunaelewa wazi miaka ya 80 na 90 taarifa zetu za habari namna ambavyo zilikuwa zinaanza, kwamba mtukufu rais. So wakati huo mamangu mzazi ataniuliza, kijana wangu, wewe ni kitinda mimba wangu, huyu mtukufu rais ninaamini amezaliwa na mama kama mimi. Inamaanisha kwamba hata wewe huwezi soma kwa bidii, angalau kesho tukusikie ukitangazwa kwa redio. Labda si nitaitwa mtukufu, lakini nitaitwa jina lingine. Basi hiyo ilinitia moyo kwamba nisome kwa bidii. Na leo hii nimeangaziwa na vyombo vya habari vya aina mbalimbali kwa heshima ya mamangu mzazi. Nilitia bidii shuleni na leo niko hapa. Furaha si furaha. Furaha si furaha jamani. So kilichonilea ni hiyo redio ambayo leo twaisherekea. Na ndio maana mimi nawaambia naisherekea kwa njia ya kipekee. Tunapoongea juu ya amani, amani haimaanishi kutokuwepo kwa matatizo, kutokuwepo kwa fujo. Lakini tunapozungumzia amani, tunaulizana kwamba kunapokuwa na upotofu wa amani, kunazo sababu ambazo zinasababisha upotofu wa amani. Ni vipi sisi sote tunachangia kuregesha ile amani vile inavyostahili kwa manufaa yetu sisi sote? Je, sisi waandishi wa habari tutakuwa tunaandika tu ripoti na kuangazia machafuko? Baada ya hapo ripoti zetu zinaelezea nini? So ingekuwa vyema wakati tunaangazia machafuko pia tukuwe na uandishi wa habari pelelezi, ambapo utachunguza kina kilicholeta machafuko haya ni nini, pia tuweze kukiangazia, na pia tuweze kuelimishana ni vipi tunaweza rekebisha hali kama hizi zisipate kujirudia tena, angalau sisi sote tupate kuishi kwa amani. Kila kanda ya taifa hili iko na sababu zake ambazo zinaleta uchafuzi katika amani. Mombasa hii tumeangazia mara nyingi, tukielezea kwamba magengi ama makundi ya magengi ya wahalifu na namna ambavyo inatatiza amani katika mji huu. Lakini swala kuu huwa najiuliza mimi, mkishatupa hizo habari, ni nini kinachofuata? Ni vipi tunaelimishana jinsi ya kuzuia machafuko haya? Ni nani anayosababisha masuala haya? Na ni vipi tunaweza kumkanya kwa njia mbalimbali, mojawapo ikiwa kupitia vyombo vya habari? So si kutangaza tu peke yake, kwa sababu leo hii tunazungumza juu ya serikali moja ama mwelekeo wa serikali moja, one government approach, kwamba sote tumo ndani pale. Uzuri wa taifa hili, ufanisi wa taifa hili ni sisi sote, si wa mtu mmoja ama si wa shirika moja, ni wetu sisi sote. Kwa hivyo tunatarajia kwamba ndani ya utangazaji wa habari kuwe na ubalozi ndani yake, kuwe na utaifa ndani yake. Angazia masuala ya nchi yako ndio, lakini pia leta uwiano kupitia ile habari ambayo unatoa. Leta usawa kupitia ile habari unayotoa. Angalau tukiangaziwa katika kimataifa, tuonekana kwamba sisi ni taifa ambalo tunathamini uwiano. Japo machafuko yako, lakini tunathamini uwiano pia. Na tunaukuza huu uwiano kwa njia moja ama nyingine. Nimependa kuangazia sana hasa swala la magenge ambalo linaharibu amani hapa Mombasa. Na nimesema ndio wenye vijiji kule watawaua wale vijana. Labda askari watafanya kazi yao pia. Lakini ni vipi tunaweza zuia swala hili? Na katika vyombo vingi vya habari nimesema kwamba tunamrejelea mzazi. Tunamrejelea mzazi tukitaka kujiuliza maswali. Wazazi wametelekeza majukumu yao. Zama zile sisi tulizokuwa nazo, nikionywa na mzazi wangu, sintalirudia hilo swala, hilo kosa. Lakini leo tuko na utovu ndani ya vijana wetu. Vijana wa miaka 7, vijana wa miaka 10, vijana wa miaka 11 ambao wanastahili kuwa shuleni. Lakini leo hii hawa ndio vijana ambao wanahangaisha watu kule nje. Tunaulizana, wazazi wako wapi? Saa zile mtoto wa miaka 10 anahangaisha watu huko nje na mapanga. Na inatia uchungu sisi kama vyombo vya usalama wakati tunaokota mwili wa kijana wa miaka 10. Ameuawa kwa sababu gani? Kwa sababu alishiriki uhuni. Mtoto wa miaka 10 anatakana kuwa katika shule ya kimsingi, kujifunza, kujielimisha ili aje kuwe mtu tajika katika taifa hili. Vile mimi nilivyolelewa na mamangu kwamba leo naweza kusimama mbele yenu na mkae chini kunisikiza. Kwa hivyo langu tu ni moja. Wakati tunasherehekea siku hii, radio na amani, naomba sisi sote katika njia zetu zote zile tuchangie kuikuza hii amani. Angazieni yale machafuko ndio, lakini tukutane kwa pamoja tena. Tuulizane ni vipi tunaweza leta amani ili tuboreshe miji zetu. Tupate watalii, tupate wawekezaji, tusitie hofu wale ambao wangependa kuzuru miji zetu. Maana leo hii kuna mambo yanaangaziwa yanatia hofu. Mara tunaanza kupigiwa simu tukiulizwa kunani kule. Lakini wageni wetu wengi wakikuja tena wanaabiri vyombo vya usafiri wakisema tulikuja, tukafurahia mandhari ya Mombasa na tumerudi salama. Yale yanayoripotiwa yako wapi? Kwa hivyo tutoe habari, lakini pia tuajiri, tuelewe kwamba tunahitaji wawekezaji. Tujue kwamba tunahitaji wageni. Tujue kwamba tunahitaji ufanisi katika sehemu ambazo tunafanyia kazi. Na sisi kama maafisa wa serikali, ningependa kuhakikishia waandishi wa habari wote, milango zetu za ofisi ziko wazi. Kuhitaji appointment, kuja kuniona mimi ama mwenzangu yeyote yule katika ofisi zetu za kiserikali. Na hivi leo nimeandamana na kamati yangu ya usalama katika kaunti hii. Ningependa tafadhali wasimame muweze kuwaona. So tuko na mwakilishi wa County Commander of Police, ndugu yangu Kahindi. Tuko na ambaye anasimamia masuala ya jinai katika kaunti hii, Bwana Leila. Tuko na yale ambaye anasimamia yale majengo maalum ya kiserikali ama yale ambayo yako na umuhimu na dhamana katika taifa letu, Bwana Naro. Na tuko na katibu wetu katika kamati ya usalama, Bwana Lugano. Hii kamati mkiwaona vile walivyo, wako tayari kutoa usalama katika kaunti hii. Tuko tayari na usalama tutatoa. Watu wa Mombasa wataishi kwa usalama. Tuko ngangari, tuko tayari. Mbarikiwe sana. Asanteni.
Once more. Ofisa ambaye anahusika na Access to Information Media Council, Dina Ondari, umesikia? County Commander amesema mfanye pamoja, unaweza fanya mafunzo kwa officers wa serikali on Access to Information Law, Access to Information Act of 2016. Kwa hivyo mkurugenzi utahusiana naye ili mnaweza panga mafunzo kwa all your heads of department on access to information, waweze kufundishwa. Kuna sheria Article 35 of the Constitution na kuna Access to Information Act of 2016. Mnaweza fanya yale mafunzo kwa nini kwa katika ile inaitwaje at our cost. Wewe ni kupanga tu maafisa wako na waweze kuweza kufundishwa how to release government information. Manake kuna pia njia ya kurelease information fulani. Hayo ni mafunzo ambayo yanaweza fanywa kwa mara moja ikipangwa. Wakati huu sasa nataka kumkaribisha Bwana David Omoyo. Vile nimesema, David Omoyo ako na miaka mingi. He's an experienced journalist. He used to head all the Catholic the radio station for the Catholic Church. He has established and started more than 12 radio stations. Kwa hivyo governor uko na expert hapa, wakati wenyu wa chai mwambie kusaidie vile kutengeneza. Ameanzisha radio outside in Kenya. He's a very experienced radio journalist, and in addition to being the CEO of the Media Council of Kenya, he has taught at the university, has worked in Standard. He's an accomplished journalist. So karibu sana Bwana Omoyo, and take your time.
Thank you very much, Victor, for taking time to speak about my CV. You are not very accurate because I established 18 radio stations, including one in Voi and another in Malindi. Na nilikuwa mtangazaji wakati fulani. So, Governor and the county team, the partners from Nairobi, CA, KNATCAM, KMA, Madam from the Media Complaints Commission, Amwik, who took time to market herself and the media. Good morning. Today we mark the World Radio Day and also the occasion to release the State of the Media report. And the theme, Radio for Peace, is very interesting because I think radio naturally should do peace, and when it's not doing peace, it does war. You all know about the case of the Radio Mills Collins in Rwanda, which was accused of inciting one community against another, which led to more than 1 million people dying. In our country, in 2008, when the ICC came calling, they took a journalist, you know that, and accused them of inciting murders and deaths and all that of people by inciting one community against another. Idea is that if that radio is not utilized for peace, it can cause a lot of harm. Radio is supposed to not just preach peace for the sake of being preachy, but go to the root cause of problems. Allow access of information so that people then understand that by getting the right information, because mostly before war starts, there is lack of information, and then rumors emerge, and then we create opportunities for people to spread hate. If radio remains active, people will be united and there will be peace. We also appreciate other people who have used radio to do strategic peace building, including at home, like Patanisho. You know, Patanisho is reconciliation. It's a very popular program. I have only never understood why all the people being reconciled all come from Victor's village. We don't know whether there are no quarrels about that. So really, if you look at peace building in the broadest of senses, in the families, at home, across counties, across communities, even across countries, we have radios in the Great Lakes region and all that. Radio, when utilized and harnessed, can go very far in uniting community. Engineer Burad gave a few figures here. I will not try to contradict him because my numbers look like if you combine commercial and faith-based stations, you almost hit 200. It's 190 something. And then you have more than 270 TV stations. So we are a very vibrant country. If you notice that barely 15 years ago, we had 9 TVs and 30 radio stations. We have really grown. And some counties like Mombasa will have up to 15. Hata kama zingine huwa zinazimika. I think it's a matter of financing and thinking through. In a few cases, we are not able to pay people so that we have radio employees who are very critical in the ecosystem go without pay, go without training, go without skills. The radio station has no access to internet and all that. So then the people cannot research so that they're able to provide information. You must look at the radio journalist as the teacher, the person who must have access to information and who must have the strength to stand so that they're able to talk to people. So I want to urge all media owners and radio station owners that our radios can only be instruments for peace if the people we give the microphones are peaceful in heart, body, and soul. Kama hawajalipwa, kama hawajala, kama hawana hata internet, if they can't research, if they have no telephone, then they cannot be instruments for peace because they will not have information. They cannot provide information, isn't it? They will not talk to people about good nutrition when they are hungry themselves, all right? They will not talk about good quality of life and the health hazards of poor living when they haven't been paid. That means they haven't paid rent. So they sneak to the house at night and sneak out very early so that the landlord or landlady does not see them. Please, you cannot make radio an instrument of peace if you don't make sure that the people working in radio have inner peace so that they can propagate the peace. I want to go straight into this summary report. The state of Kenya's media in 2022. As part of the Media Council's mandate, we are supposed to conduct an annual review of the media performance and the public opinion of the media. That means that while on one hand we protect the media from government and from the people, then we protect the people from the media. From time to time, the work of a regulator is public protection. That's a sacred role. The Kenyan is where regulators operate to protect Kenyans. So that when we talk about protecting press freedom, it's not as an end in itself, but it is order to allow Kenyans to have access to information from independent media. So what we are performing here is a statutory function. We gauge public opinion and release the information to the public. As the custodians of the Code of Ethics for the practice of journalism, we have certain principles of reporting research. You say who financed it, when it was done, who did it, and all that. It was commissioned by us, and it was done by us by Infotrack Research and Consulting. She will be here to explain to us. Normally, when we do our research, we contract one person, then we shadow them via using universities to research, and then we use our own research department to also shadow them so that by the time the results come, we have almost 3 triangulated outcomes. We are looking at a margin error of 1.8%, so we have 95-degree confidence. We had a 98% response rate, and we targeted all 47 counties. Na tulianzia 15 years and above, so we did not go to 12 years. One thing special, we did another survey a bit of last week for the reason that we noted when we were especially dealing with TV, there was World Cup last year. So the numbers, the figures had been affected a bit. So we commissioned a new quick survey for TV last week when we noticed that the numbers for TV had a slight change. That's how we distributed the sample. You know, it is the size of a population and the size of sample we picked from the region, the agenda and all that. We had more male than female, but it's really margin of 54%, 46% for the distribution. And unaona watu wengi ni mahasla. Below 10,000 shillings made 46% of the respondents. And then the rest was the 10 to 20,000, 14, 30,000 to 50 was 8%. So the rest come below that. You can see that the most participants in the survey were 30 to the then we had the 25 to 29 at 15% and the 35 to 39. So principally you could say that if you combine the ages of 15 to 17 at 11 and then 15 and 30 to 34, we had a lot of participation. Of course, what were 60 pia wali participate a bit because they are at home now. They listen to radio and watch. Education, watu wengi ni secondary education. And that's the average. If you sample Kenyans, many people will have gone up to Form 4. What is the main source of information? Television and radio tied at 33%. And social media is up. You notice that 18%. And friends and colleagues are matching with the newspaper. That means the word of mouth and the newspaper going same at 6%. If you turn that into absolute percentages, you will notice that radio and television, 80% of Kenyans watch TV and listen to radio. And 29% of Kenyans read newspapers. That means that the consumption have gone, the printed newspaper is going down, but Kenyans are still consuming. And you will notice that radio, because radio is at 78%, really TV is 80%, radio has dropped from 84%. Last year's report, radio was high at 84%, now it is gone to 78%, and TV is at 80%. Here are the numbers in the absolute sense. Now, for those wondering why we have more than one, you know, the percentage is 80% plus 70, it's more than 100, isn't it? It's a multiple answer question. What is your main source of news, isn't it? Mtu anasema, I use TV, I use radio, newspaper, social media, isn't it? That's why then we say 80% of the people targeted ticked TV. So they ticked TV and something else. 78% ticked radio, all right? 29% newspaper, and then the rest you can see. And then online, it looks like the gossipers wanashindana na magazeti. Unajua wale watu wa kutembea tembea na kuzungusha maneno wanashindana na magazeti. Newspaper people hatuna ubaya, ni research. But nyinyi na gossipers, same WhatsApp group. So you see, in 2022, the sample size was 3,331. That's quite a reasonable number. And anybody will tell you, if you've done research, as Angela will tell us, that is, you can't get more confident than those numbers. You see, if you look at the trends from 2019 up to now, TV was 73 in 2019, radio was 84. In 2020, they almost wakafika same level. 2021, TV kind of chini, radio shot up a lot. If you notice that, isn't it? But you notice that in 2022, TV has come up. There will be a few reasons. So the question was, what do you use as a news source? We think TV has gotten cheaper. There is free to air. There is internet TV. And maybe, you know, now you can watch TV on your screens and all that. Remember, the reason why radio is most preferred is that you can listen to radio on the go. Remember our sampling, see what town peke yake. We go to the villages and all that, we distribute, isn't it? You can go to farm with your radio. Gari zote ziko na radio in the morning. That's where people listen the Radio for Peace, do call Patanisho and others, and all that, so you do that. But now, because TV on the go has emerged, therefore you can almost see the trends moving. Young people, you will notice that people 15 to 17, they are on radio and TV, and then they are on social media. 18 to 24, the numbers drop, but social media goes up. And that is the same 25 to 29. Then as you go, as the people age, then radio and TV goes up. You will notice that there are people who are, generally people are not very sure about newspapers. There's a bit of overall 4-5%. Only people 50 to 59, or rather 50 and above, do newspaper at 8%. I think they have a lot of time to read. Online news sites, you can see they do this. Remember, there could be a little confusion, online news sites, social media, and all that, isn't it? You know, online news sites is like the nation news site, isn't it? But most people, by the time you go to Twitter, the gossipers have already put the news there. So you don't need to go to there. So these are not mean that this is what the maximum number of people going online. If you combine the online news sites, combine the bloggers, and social media in the broader sense, you notice there's a big number. There will be a slide about social media there. People who rely on TV, we have just spoken a lot about this, is 80%. Only 20% of Kenyans don't watch TV. So TV is the next big thing, as long as it has good content. And what one opened that most people watch TV a lot, 1 to 2 hours or 3 to 4 hours. So there's those who do not watch TV still. TV is a late night thing. Kenyans wakirudi nyumbani jioni, 8 p.m. to midnight, you notice? Then from 4 to 8 p.m. and all that. In the morning, then 10 to noon and noon to 4 p.m. That's why the advertisers call it prime time, isn't it? An advertisement at this time is 3 times more than advertisement at 10 a.m. Yes, is it 3 times or more? Sometimes it's more. Getting an advert at can be up to 3 or 4 times more than if you put an advert in the morning. Nobody watches TV in the morning, you know. You are in the way to work or doing stuff like that. So from 4 p.m. you can see TV going to peak. So you notice therefore that prime time news is king. People go to TV to watch news because from 8 p.m. people are looking for news. And it's a challenge now to the newsmakers and media owners. Invest in the newsrooms. Invest in the newsrooms and the journalists and the equipment and the delivery of the news. People rush home. 80%, so the 46% of them, people go home to watch news. You have had a whole day to prepare for that. Give Kenyans something worth it. Free to air is king. Free to air, you know the free to air channels. Leo knows the free to air channels, largely where you get the local channels, a bit of that before you go to the DSTV and all that. Satellite cable, unaona si wengi sana. Hawa ni wa DSTV and Showmax and stuff like that. So people prefer. And then streaming up. I noticed that I can watch, as long as you have internet at home, you can watch any TV station in Kenya live, isn't it? Yeah, I noticed that you can always watch those. So, and that is a good number. That is 20% of people watching that. That's quite a good number. Then digital app, ni kama ile you have the app by the company. Radio, 78%. And you can see also radio, it's 1 to 2 hours, mostly 3 to 4 hours. People have some time, they do that. But I think radio is a morning thing, breakfast shows, and late, okay, then there's the drive show. They call it drive show from 4 p.m., isn't it? And then we have the 8 p.m. to midnight. But you will notice something. Because of the nature of radio that you can listen to it during the day, it is up. It is, even during the day, during low hours, it is 11% and 13%, isn't it? If you go back, you will notice that TV goes really down at 7% during the lazy hours, isn't it? So radio, even lazy hours, we are talking about 11% or 13%, because you can listen to radio on the move via your mobile phone and stuff like that. And so radio pia watu wa late night na watu wa asubuhi. Newspaper, iko shida hapo kidogo. Sima naona red ime overtake blue for the first time. 29% really, it's that 29% of Kenyans read newspapers. And you know, in 2021, we had 25%. So there is an increment, isn't it? What do you think caused the 4% increment? It is about the digital newspaper delivered via WhatsApp groups and all that, and the online. So unasoma gazeti naenda kwa website yao, unasoma sinunui gazeti, you know that, isn't it? So we have online subscriptions and all that. That will explain. But also, 2022 was an election year. In election years, people tend to consume more media and all that around certain events, around certain headlines, who is defecting where and all that. So that explains. Websites, that is a tie. Wameshikana katikati. 51% Kenyans go to the internet for news websites or anything. Only 49% do not visit news websites. Digital media. So broadly we said out of the 51% of Kenyans, isn't it? We use digital media, 83%. A sharp increase, not sharp, 5 points, 6 points from 77% last year. And you know, digital media is everything. Either you do Facebook, ama Twitter, ama WhatsApp. Na kuna kale kamekuja siku hizi kanaitwa TikTok. Na kuna ingine imekuja after TikTok. I heard young people say that they loved Facebook. Alafu sisi wazee tukawafuata Facebook. Wakatuacha wakaenda TikTok. Problem nimeona tena wazee wameingia TikTok. So I don't know what to do. Yes, so now the numbers. Brand, watu wanapenda gani kuliko gani? In 2021, Citizen TV was 27% popularity, isn't it? Mnaona imeenda ngapi sasa? 36%. KBC, now number 2 this time is KBC. But you notice in 2021 KBC was at 3%. KBC Kopale. This is, so we have Citizen, KBC, NTV, then the KTN series and all others. Pwani TV yuko mahali. Kuna ingine tena? Na Uzalendo na Bwana Gavana, umeona TV yako hapa? Inakuja. So you notice, what you will notice is that there was some change in the numbers, isn't it? Especially the TVs. Apart from Citizen, which remained up, KBC has gone up literally from almost number 10 to number 2, isn't it? Then we have NTV Pale. NTV has dropped a bit. KTN Home remains 11%, but it has come down. So there's been a lot of notable improvements here, you can say, is KBC, isn't it? Because KTN. So we need to... Kuna mtu wa KBC hapa? Leo lunch ni kwenye. The most watched you see here. Now, in the previous slide, let me explain. We did this survey November-ish, December-ish, isn't it? Na tulikuwa tunaambiwa World Cup iko KBC. Mnakumbuka? So therefore, this year, when we went through these survey fundings earlier this year, tukambiana tufanye survey nyingine wakati World Cup haiko. So you will notice KBC was 12, but now it is 9%. So we still have NTV and KTN, isn't it? But nevertheless, still KBC has come from 3% to 9%, isn't it? And from position 10 to position 4. Makofi kwa KBC. Kuna category inaitwa others, wako wakubwa. Watu watasema kwa nini sijasema makofi kwa Citizen. Anyway, let's say this is the trends, isn't it? Others pia ni wengi. Radio 2021 still Radio Citizen was 12%, imeenda 18%. Remember we explained that something happens in an election year. People consume media more. Campaigns and all that. Radio Jambo also went up from 10% to 16%. Radio Maisha came to number 3. So the notable drop here is Kameme. From number 3 in 2021 to number 6 here. So Radio Taifa at 4%. Radio Taifa dropped 1 point. It was 5% last year, the other year, but this time has come this. We still have this big number of others. All right? Hapo ndio ziko zile radio zenyu 0.1 zinagawana. You know, we have 200 radios, isn't it? So if we list 10, then we have about 250 radios zinagawana 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. They should find a way of combining so that they share this. But that you notice, this is basically from the most listened to the least. You will notice two things from this year's list. Radio is either Swahili or vernacular, then English later. Do you notice that? Nis Radio Citizen, Radio Jambo, Radio Maisha, and Milele FM. The top four are Kiswahili, isn't it? Kutoka hapo, we go vernacular. Inoro and Kamema, isn't it? Then we have Swahili. Classic is the first English radio. So radio consumption, Swahili. English has its niche market, but you know you target certain few people, isn't it? But the bulk of consumers, as you can see, because if you combine from number 1 to 4, you basically have taken more than half the radio market, Swahili. And remember, even the remaining half, we have several Swahili stations distributed. And basically, the trend remains even from 2021. Radio is still Swahili or vernacular, right? Tunaanza kuongea, actually it was worse because that time Kiss, I think Kiss came down huko at 2%. So if you think of radio, Bwana Governor, Kiswahili. Na kama kuna ni lugha gani ya wapwani sana sana? Ama Kitaita ama watu wengine wote hivyo. I mean, make sure radio is Swahili, all vernacular before going to English. Alafu sasa Mombasa, ukileta English, tutaangalia shida kidogo. We stick there. Not because sina ubaya, ati sijasema tu wapwani hawajui Kizungu, nilisema tu pande hii. Okay. Newspapers. Last year we had, we had Daily Nation at 59%. They have dropped this year to 53%, but they still lead. More than half of the newspapers read in this country is the Daily Nation, isn't it? The Standard was second. They were at 28%. They have also lost, but they are still second, isn't it? What you will notice is Taifa Leo. Taifa Leo is at 15%. I will give my hypothesis. This research was really distributed. I mean, we went, so hatukuuliza watu watatu town on a stage and all that. We traveled across the country. So then you realize there is space for a Swahili paper. Then the Star has remained. Nairobian has improved a bit. Coast Daily and ilifungwa? Iko? Maybe needs to tell us what happened. Na Nairobian kama improve kidogo. People like the People Daily, it's free, but it has dropped. I think it's about availability. It's not available in all corners sometime. But I mean, the figures are there. We asked 1,004 people. Because remember, when we asked people whether you read newspapers, only 30% said they read newspapers. So the number has dropped now. The sample size from 3,000 to 1,000. So among the 1,000 who read newspapers, tabia zao ndizo hizo. Websites. We first of all agreed that 51% Kenyans wanaenda internet, isn't it? Wale wanaenda kwa news sites, tuko wako juu. Remember, even last year while we had a web browser newsfeed, still Tuko was up, isn't it? What you will notice now, a move from last year, we had the Standard high up there at 11. Now Citizen Digital, isn't it, has come to number 2, very close to Tuko. And then Nation is number 3. Nation was still number 3. Now Standard ndio imeumia kidogo. Their percentage is good, but looks like people have come up. Then Mpasho News and the rest. The elephant It has started appearing Pandele. But sasa unfortunately, KBC, Capital, and Ghafla, Ghafla bado iko. KBC and Capital have disappeared. But those are the trends where people went last year for the news. Very important also because of the advertising market. The consumers have moved there. Nowadays, mostly if you put an advert, even a job vacancy announcement, you get more traction on social media and than on the hard paper. Because then people can go social media, then they screenshot, then they forward, then if it finds its way onto a WhatsApp group, inafanya like it goes viral. So social media is quite popular, and you saw the age group that consumes that. Last year, when we asked which digital media platform you use, we had WhatsApp, which was performing better than Facebook. Then, of course, YouTube and Twitter was at 8%. You will notice a few things, that Twitter, TikToks, and all that, bado zimebaki, but Facebook and WhatsApp, that's where there is war, isn't it? They are very closely moved together. So don't underestimate WhatsApp, because everybody receives and posts and all that. The problem with WhatsApp is people are seen in another forum. They can be dangerous victims of spreading fake news. You see something, you do not verify, you forward. At the end of the day, 1 million people read something, and nobody's taking responsibility, as seen in another forum and all that. You saw the clip that was going around of the very barbaric beating and forced circumcision of a girl, isn't it? And people said that was in Korea and people have been arrested. Then we realized, kuna mtu fulani tumeandikia barua, kuna gazeti tumeandikia barua. That thing happened in Congo. Those people are not speaking in Kikuria. But it was circulated around and even picked by newspapers that this is in Korea and all that. You listen, you realize the voice there is not Kikuria and all that. You find it some corner of the Congo huko. So the potential of the fake news, people mention and forward, and then the challenge is then the media picks it and runs with it. Because Facebook, quickly someone can tell you, wacha ni uongo, hiyo ni uongo, isn't it? Facebook, people can comment and all that. WhatsApp, people see. And because we are mostly desperate to be the first to break the news. Now to the constitutional question. What do Kenyans think about the media? It's the last slide. Naona mmeanza kubaweka msijali. The last slide. %69% of Kenyans have some trust or a lot of trust. 10% hawaamini sana. And 22%, they don't mind. Waandike wasiandike sawa tu, isn't it? If you look at that, it is a drop. Because we had 76% last year, the people who have some trust or a lot of trust, isn't it? So we are seeing a bit of drop. Kenyans are starting to, and I think also because there was, during the campaigns, there was fair attempts to attack the media, na kusema, sijui Githeri imefanya nini, na sijui watu wamekuwa zimionated, sijui, hizo zote. They affect a bit, you can see now, isn't it? So there has been a drop, about 4 to 5% drop in the trust in the media. So 5% people believe that, and the question was simply on a scale of 1 to 10, either you trust media highly, ama kidogo, ama kabisa. That's how you see now we had, so if you are on the extreme end, you do not trust at all, and then very good is you trusted them a bit. Most popular media brands. Sasa ni brand, what were marketing? The most popular brand hapa is RMS, Royal Media Service. They still take the cup again. The second most popular brand is Kituo cha Baba na Mama. I think they have done a good job for themselves. I will wish they do a lot more. And then we have the Standard Group. And then we have the Nation Media. Then Radio Africa and MediaMax. By brand, it's about ni station gani mnapenda sana, unaamini sana, and all that. Branding, a popular brand is what people love, isn't it? What people trust and they like to be associated with. So you'll notice that, of course, RMS is up at 62, KBC there, then Standard, then Nation, and all that. So everybody can see what Kenyans think about themselves. Why do you trust the media? It reports important issues. It reports local news. Well known, has been reporting for long. I think ukifika hapo utajua wanasema gani KBC sana sana, isn't it? It is consistent, utajua ni KBC. It has knowledgeable staff, isn't it? It is independent, doesn't it? It is publicly funded. Na hata kuna moja hapa, it respects our leaders. That is enough reason to trust, isn't it? So, for being well known, for going with culture, I would think that RMS, because of the very strong local content, has really endeared them to the people, because it's both local news and about local people. They really do that. I think if I mention some programs in Tambu and in our marketeer, they do that. And KBC respects the leaders and is consistent, generally. Kwa nini watu wako na shida na media kidogo? Fake news. People have real issues with that. Second, they think that there is bias. Hii media hii ni watu ya huko tunawajua. I don't want to use the language on the street. And then they don't cover important issues. They want to just a siasa too, isn't it? Na tunai watu wanaitwa 13%. Ati kwa nini upende media? Hayo watu watasiwapendi tu. Hata usiniulize. Nothing. So, I mean, an entire 13% have no reason. They say, I just don't like them. So, of course, then there is people who think that government is overregulating the media, 5%. There's lack of freedom of expression. Some people think there are too many adverts, 8%, okay? And then some people think the content is not diversified. Things to celebrate. Kenya, freedom of the media, quick dissemination of information, high level of technology, diversification of platforms, and level of professionalism. Sasa wale 13% wamekuwa 2%. Nothing. There's nothing to celebrate about those people. Betting. Vile unatuma unakuwa millionaire, isn't it? 30% of Kenyans are engaged in betting. That's how serious it is. But luckily 70% wamekataa. Wana bet once a week, once a day, rarely. 18% more than once a day. Wale wanasemaga nimefuliza 5,000, nataka kuweka bet, multi-bet, tuone vile kunaenda, is 18%. Na kuna watu wa once a month, kila wamelipwa mshahara, anasema every salary nikilipwa, nalipa tithe na bet, nione kama Mungu atanibariki. There are people who do that. I have come across people who go, they pay the tithe and say, sasa Mungu nimepanda mbegu, wacha nitume bet nitashinda asubuhi. Advertisements, radio, TV, very high. Then, of course, we have social media. That means that people have really seen. Half of the people, this is now impact of the media, half of the people said, mimi singe bet, wacha tu ni advert ilifanya. Isn't it? So nafikiri wale wengine ni wale wa peer pressure bana bet. Unajua juzi mtu alibet hapa kwetu akakula 100k. Hao ndio wa peer pressure, isn't it? But the other half waliona advert. It is hard small here. 59% wanasema wacha media tu iendelee betting. 41% wanasema awachana nao. So Kenyans wanaona kama betting ni kitega uchumi. Msituvieke hiyo betting tunaweza shinda. Rift Valley bwana, Rift Valley 67% wanasema hii kazi iendelee. Of course then Eastern, Western, Central. Western wako number 3 hapo kwa betting, but wako number 1 mahali ingine I have nothing against Nairobi and all that. So basically, most Kenyans appreciate the betting. Maybe they, and that is the end of the short discussion. That is the State of the Media Report 2022, ladies and gentlemen. Asante sana. Victor, this time we ask Angela to, before we call the governor, how does it go? Yes. Angela Mbido, Infotrack is the company we contracted to do this, isn't it? Just a mention in about 3 or 4 points before then we.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. And thank you, Dave. You've done a better job than I could have done releasing numbers. All protocols observed. I'm happy to see my very good friend, Mheshimiwa, good to see you. We walked with you through the campaign season, and I'm sure you're one of the people who say numbers work and numbers inform, because they did so well for you. So I think mine is very simple. There's a microphone here. TV microphone. Kwanza niwaambie mimi niko nyumbani. I am from Mombasa. My mother actually lives and works here. So I was eating pilau yesterday when I got in, and today I'll hopefully be eating something else. So I'm telling everybody here, karibuni Mombasa. Okay? I think for me it's very simple. How do you trust the numbers? And what are the challenges that we faced when actually conducting the survey? And as I was thinking through, I just thought of, it's a biblical verse which says, very many are called, but few are chosen. And when you're chosen, then nobody can replace you. You're irreplaceable. This is the challenge that we face in research, that if a respondent is selected to participate in a survey, then you have an inalienable right to actually be included in the survey. So for us as scientists, we therefore cannot decide out of our own accord to actually change you. So once the selection process has been done in terms of the random sampling, then that respondent has to be given adequate opportunity to participate in the survey. Tuko pamoja? So if you are the one who was selected and you're in Mandera, or you're in Garissa, or you're in Wajir, and there is no network, we still have to find a way of ensuring you are included in the survey. Because the one thing is that the protocols in research must adhere to fairness and all embracing. So if the survey is covering all Kenyans, then all Kenyans must be given an equal opportunity. What does that then mean in terms of challenges? It means that we have to, especially in this survey, we had to use different approaches. We're allowed to, in research today, to use what we call mixed mode approach in conducting the survey. On one hand, Communications Authority will be happy that because of the penetration of mobile, then we are able to nowadays conduct surveys using computer-assisted telephone interviews. So we literally just get onto a call center and we call respondents. However, where there are respondents who are in these frontier counties, and the frontier counties in this case that gave us challenges were the ones that the security personnel and experts will know are the same ones we're hearing about in the news now, in Baringo, in West Pokot, in Turkana, in Wajir, in Mandera, in Isiolo and Marsabit. What happens is that we then go face to face. We go onto the ground because that person has been chosen as a respondent. We must then give them the opportunity to participate. Okay? And so we go to their households. Now the problem with the household survey is that we can come to your house, and if you are the one who has been selected based on what we call a Kish grid, which means that in a household where everybody who's 15 and above is given an equal opportunity to participate, then we use different rules. One of them is the birthday rule, and the person whose birthday happens to be the first or during that month, we then determine what we will use, is the one who's selected, okay? So if we were coming to your household in February and you're 10 people in your household and 2 of you are born in February, then we would then determine who was born on the earliest date in that February month. And that's the person who participates. If you're then not available in the household on that day, imagine we have to come back. We will not take the second person. So this is what randomizing in research actually means, and these are some of the challenges that we then face. We also find, so that is a challenge. Challenge one is, infrastructure, because we have to give the opportunity. And then the second challenge that we have, obviously, is in some of these places, there are also poor mobile networks. And what it means is that when we start conducting the survey with the person, the phone goes off. And we have to keep on looking for the same person to ensure the survey is done. I think that the last one is generally sensitivity sometimes of information. For instance, if I was to ask you today, how much do you earn? Which is one of the questions you saw Dave give in the survey. How much is your household or yourself earning? You know what we all do. We look and say, do you want to rob me? Or why do you want this information? Do you want to beg me? And so some of this sensitive information normally make people shy away, and we have to find ways of making people feel comfortable that nobody is going to get to know or have access to this information. I think other than that, the survey on media, just like David had mentioned, because it is so close to the hearts of people, did not give us that many more challenges in terms of participation. And as you can see, media is part and parcel of our lives, and we hope that the information that was provided will be useful. I think the details of the survey in terms of information by male, female, in terms of consumption by the different age groups will also be available to you. And of course, when we're doing surveys with the younger population, that is those between 15 and 18, the research protocols are such that we have to get consent, because these are underage. So indeed, it is their parents who have to give us the consent to interview these younger populations. I think other than that, welcome to Mombasa. Thank you very much. And when you need research, because I saw the queue from patients, please feel free to call us. We will be somewhere around. Thank you. Governor.
And now, obviously, a summary of the presentations will be given. We are aware people like Michelle here who work in communication want those statistics and brands, so that will be given. Obviously, the governor will come shortly to give his keynote address. I know we suspended breakfast, not that it's not there. The tea is there, and we had suspended a bit to finish this. So then we are actually combining tea and lunch in order to provide one. So we combine. But likely, as you have seen already, a lot of things, those who listen to discussions on the media and the rest, you start noticing that statistics not confirming some of the things we hear, especially those of us who are in communication and want to run the issue of influencers, the issue of what. You still notice traditional media is very strong. And people still go back to the issue to confirm the radio in the same way it went. So there's a lot to invest. As we mentioned, take advantage of the local stations here as we take advantage of the local international. Mombasa, I mentioned you, we have nearly 7 to 8 radio stations domiciled here. While we have 2, indeed we have 4, now we have 2, 1. Those are domiciled in addition to the international and the Nairobi base. So take advantage. A number of them use local language, and we don't call them vernacular radio stations. They are called local language-based stations. Not all of them are community, a number of them are community media stations, but some are commercial, but here, a number of them are religious. So again, notice those differences. So the Governor
Thanks very much, Victor. I think now we're waiting for the chance for the keynote speaker tonight. Bwana Governor unapokuja, as you talk on behalf of your 46 other colleagues, we want to urge that in the counties, we see more and more access to information. We see more protection of the rights of the journalists and the media. And most importantly is that we urge that in your media budgets, allocate something to local-based media. I know I usually see pengine gavana anataka kusema amewaive, sijui Kiswahili changu kimekwisha sasa, amewaive the land rates Kongowea ama mahali popote. Sivyo, unapata hiyo announcement imewekwa kwa one page kwa magazeti national. It's very expensive to do a page, and you are waiving something for Kongowea market, isn't it? That would be very good information in the local media, and that budget can really sustain them. So we urge that as you roll out your media campaigns, please dedicate a reasonable percentage to the people and the media here who talk in the local languages, who operate in the local news and all that. I know from time to time, pia governor anataka onekane kwa national news, but pia tuna za local pia, so that then we don't take the entire media budget from the county and send it to Nairobi. Mnakuja Nairobi mnasema tunataka pesa irudi kwa county. Tunapiga kelele pesa yote ifanye devolution. Ikifika kwa county mnasema turudishie media houses zote Nairobi. Simona sasa hiyo ni next time tutaanza ku-reduce. Kama umeleta Nairobi, tuna reduce from your next year's budget ili inabaki kwa local. Anyway, please guys join me in welcome Governor Abdul Swalmad. Makofi jamani anapokuja hata kama kuna njaa. Asante sana.
Amjambo. Kwanza sijui nizungumze Kiswahili ama Kiingereza, kwa sababu nimeonyeshwa hapa hesabu nikaona kwa watu wengi katika mji wa Mombasa na Kenya kwa jumla wanapendelea lugha ya taifa Kiswahili. Kisha pia vile vile David amesema hapa Mombasa Kiswahili kidogo chaweza, Kizungu chaweza kuchenga watu. Lakini konda sijui na mimi mwage Kimombo kidogo iwe ni uthibitisho ya kwa Kizungu pia tunakizungumza, sio? Kwa hivyo ni Kizungu ama Kiswahili? Kizungu ama tuchanganye? Tuchanganye, sawa. Kwanza nataka kutoa taarifa. You're preaching to the converted. Before I joined politics, I was actually in media. For those of you who know me, I started in the production department in an FM station. Then from production, I went to radio presenting. From radio presenting, I went to marketing. And then I owned a radio station. Easy, I'll get there. She's shocked, she's asking where. There was an FM station many years ago called Pulse FM that I started working there as in production. And then from production, I went to do radio presentation. I had shows that I was doing. I was actually on the Drive show at that time. Then from there, I went to marketing and I founded Radio Rahma, where I ended up being both a presenter and an owner. And then an element of one, conflict of interest when I started becoming a member of parliament, two, capacity to be able to start managing a constituency while still trying to manage an FM station. Eventually, I had to give my rights managing that station out. And if there's one thing that I truly hope to do after my life of politics is to get back into media. So we will be meeting again. I worked together with quite a number of household names. If I don't mention you because I know a number of you, but off the head, Ali Manzu worked with me. We worked with Roncliffe, or did. Last time I checked, he was with KBC. Joseph Odhiambo, I think he was head of BBC. I worked with him as well. Is he still there? Yeah, and then I think I also worked with Amina, who ended up working for Voice of America, I think, and quite a number of other people. So this is something that, whatever that I'm seeing here, I have been part and parcel of you. And I thought that just give that disclaimer. You know, Mombasa itself, first of all, I want to thank the Media Council for actually hosting this event here. 1954, one of the first radio broadcasts were done in Mombasa, Sauti ya Mvita. This was done by the then Kenya Broadcasting Services. And later on, it metamorphosized into very, very many other stations across the country. And today's theme is radio and peace. In today's challenging and time that are changing so fast and viciously, the question is what the media can be able to do to be able to adapt to such times. At a time when we are celebrating radio not only just as a medium of communication, but to educate, to entertain, to inform as well. My clarion call to journalists and media attendants is that I stick to the code of ethics and the code for the conduct and practice of journalism as enshrined in the Media Council Act of 2010. I remember not very many years ago, I started when I was a member of parliament. In what I saw as the power of radio, I started a community radio. And I think we were the first constituency-funded community radio, which we handed over to the Kenya National Coast Polytechnic. And we called it Mvita FM, because I was a member of parliament from Mvita, no bias there. And hopefully you never know, but maybe one day we'll now have a Mombasa FM, not to compete with the local FM stations, but to enhance and to work together as community radio. And I remember when I was launching Mvita FM, a lot of people asked me why I did that. But I actually had to append my signature on an M. And the wordings on there was that at no given time, any politician, current or future, should lay claim that they were part and parcel of starting that particular FM station, and that news in any ways should be biased. And I'm glad that I appended my signature there, so we can be able to give freedom to the media, and we can be able to try and see what it is that we can do. You know, in the Oxford Dictionary, the word peace is described in two ways. One is freedom from disturbance and tranquility. And then the other one is a state of period in which there is no war or war has ended. And the UN has its own definition of what the word peace is. That peace means dignity, well-being for all, and it's the absence of war. And this is what we need the media houses to be able to do today, and especially the FM stations. I need, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to work together to build on local contact, so that we can be able to showcase our talent, and so that we can be able to try and see what it is that we can be able to do together to nurture these young talents that are upcoming. About 2 days ago, and this goes hand in hand with this year's theme and our role. 2 days ago, we had a summit meeting. Summit is the constitutional organ that basically is the president and all the governors to try and give direction and to try and deliberate on issues that are affecting us as Kenyans. And one of the things that was resolved in that meeting was that within a period of 6 months, the county security committees will be revived under the chair of the county governors. So the onus is on myself to provide leadership, and I'm hoping that the FM stations will work hand in hand with us. Not just the FM stations, but the radio stations and all media will work hand in hand with us so that we can be able to enhance that element of peace and security within our areas. Lastly, as a county, we hope that the Media Council will be able to provide such reports in a devolved state. That means that every single county can be able to get its own analysis. In that way, we will go hand in hand to ensure that where money goes to where it is deservedly goes. That means the FM stations, every other station, so that when we provide content, we can be able to do it in an informed perspective. 2, commencing this year, we will have our own media awards as the county government of Mombasa. So we can be able to acknowledge and appreciate the media houses, the journalists that have been able to make a positive impact on society. 3, I think for those who cover my press briefings, I'm one of those who actually goes ahead and asks, are there any questions? And I even go ahead and even ask you, are you all satisfied with all the questions that you have to be able to ask? So access to information will not be an issue. I remember during my previous life as the chair of the Public Investment Committee, one of the major reasons why the media would love to cover us is because there was no document that was ever tabled, and I was unable to use that document for the media houses. And I think during my whole tenure, the only time that the media ended up being requested to step aside was twice. In one of the instances, one of the people who was giving us information said, if I give this information out in front of the public, I'm afraid we had to do that. And then the other instance is where a company said, you're asking me to divulge my capacity to be able to do this kind of business, and you're asking me to give you my audited accounts, my business competitors, and we had to give him. So just 2 of those incidences out of thousands of meetings that we were able to do were the only ones where the media was not able to get access. But in every other one, and I've given direction to all departments, that as long as there is no element of conflict, there is nothing that ties down or binds down or bogs down the county on a legal perspective for giving out information, then that information should be available. And one of the things that we're planning to do as well is to revamp the ICT department so that you can even be able to easily access from bills, from motions, from everything else, from the legal issue of procurement plans and everything else, so that everyone can be able to see what is ongoing. And I want to have give some good news as well to the local media houses. One of the other things that I have now given direction as well is what our CEO is talking about. We will be giving priority to the local media houses in terms of both funding for all our programs and in terms of adverts and everything else. So brace yourselves for some positive times. We're hoping as a county government, if we're going to take this direction, then all other corporations that are out there can be able to follow suit for yourselves. I just want to give, as Angela had said, I consumed Angela's reports and products when I was actually, before I became a member of parliament. And I consumed her reports when I was a member of parliament. Towards the elections, she was very, very key in giving me non-biased reporting. And I can assure you, when they tell you that the margin of error is plus or minus this percentage, it is actually that way. Because when she was giving me those reports, that if elections are to be held today, what it is that you want to be able to do, when she was giving me the reports of the issues that are affecting the populace, everything turned out to be ditto. So my advice as well to the media houses, don't look down on such reports. It's very easy to say that, no, this report did not include this and this and this, but use this kind of reports for your own positive growth. And it is the advice that I'm also going to be able to give to current management of Radio Rahma as well. Someone who was there and now I had to let go of my management roles out of it. But I want to wish you all well. I'm glad, honored, blessed to come back to my roots today. One time I was seated in that seat where you guys were, where someone else was giving these reports. And today I'm standing here giving the keynote address. Kila kitu inawezekana katika hii dunia. Asanteni sana na mubarikiwe. Thank you very much.
Now, obviously, in addition to the rich information we have received and the discussion, there's a very critical discussion from our colleagues here, especially for the station managers in the room, radio station managers. Spare them 10 or 12, about 15 minutes? Yeah, I mean, time. But we want to request station managers, especially, and those interested. The Communication Authority of Kenya will be making a short presentation about the impending digital migration for radio. Impending digital migration for radio. So, msikize na muweze kuengage na wao. Ni presentation nzuri sana. Mimi nilisikia jana usiku. Kwa hivyo mhang around. Lunch yenyu iko, msijali, kila mtu ako na sahani yake. So don't worry. So karibu sana.
Asante, Victor. Thank you. Just a few minutes. We'll not take the time that you allocated. Some of us have heard about this, others may not. It's a topic of interest. It's going to expand the space for the radio, as we said. If there isn't, should I wait? Okay. Thank you. We are doing a framework for digital sound broadcasting. In the ICT regulations, the radio service is called digital sound broadcasting. So the aim is to introduce DSB. I'll talk of DSB in length. Just to assure that this time we will not be shutting analog quickly. It's going to take many years. It's going to be with us. We are not migrating from analog on the same band. We'll migrate, but on a different band. We have a problem with saturation of the FM analog. For now, we have 200 and plus services. This is said before. Our focus, main focus is the band 3. We call band 3 174-230. There has not been digital sound broadcasting here before. We want to move from what is on the top, the current crowd that the FM band looks like, to the empty digital space. We need to fill that empty digital space in the shorter time. We expect the opportunities of digital sound to consumers, audio quality, a lot of content diversity. We'll be able to accommodate more choices for listeners. For the broadcasters, there'll be wider coverage. Obviously, business opportunities. It costs less to go digital. And then we are planning to separate content from distribution. That reduces the cost of operation. For government, without any doubt, there will be efficiency. There will be more revenue in terms of taxes. The general outlook of how what we are discussing looks like the TV. There's so many radio contents that we may have and we still have. We put them in one system, multiplex them, we transmit them, and we listen at the end. The receiving systems are the digital radios, radios in vehicles, telephones, and etc. Internationally, this is how it looks. In Africa, there are only 2 operations. One of them, Tunisia, is already multiplex doing. South Africa is tested and finished. Sudan is interested. I think Kenya will be blue in a few weeks' time. I'll go from the details to, in the UK, the early beginners from 95 to, in 25 years' time, the digital sound broadcasting has surpassed FM. It has gotten cheaper, and they have also begun accommodating the kind of community radio services that we currently have. The lessons we've learned are in plenty, but we've recognized the digital sound broadcasting is very mature. We also have IP, that is internet TV, the podcasts that are very popular. We have in the market hybrid receivers that can have the FM analog and the digital sound, and therefore the opportunity is big. We have few examples of phones that are coming with digital sound reception and even apps. In the country now, I think I'll not belabor this. This has been discussed by MCK. We have KBC has 13 FM services. Other commercial players at 164, community at 51. And the waiters list, which is an opportunity, which is the demand, it's big. That's why we want to open that market for digital broadcasting. The stakeholders are many. The FM who have content, the FM entities, signal distribution, the vendors of equipment, the manufacturing team. Then at the core of this, the government has to facilitate. The broadcast associations, the consumers themselves, the ICT regulator, ourselves, and MCK and the other partners. So the opportunity is there, as we said earlier. We are saturated. We'll increase coverage. The local of setting up the digital sound and is will be lower, and we have learned from the past. We see few aspects of resistance maybe to the change that you're proposing. We've learned from the other migration. I think from the beginning, we are with our stakeholders of all walks of life, but the media fraternity is the main one. Now the other issue is with the receivers. The receivers, I mean the radios, what we'll listen on. Will they be affordable? Maybe, if we plan very well. What about the cost of rolling out? What about the cost of the content providers going on the distribution platform? But again, if we introduce digital sound, it's about the content. How would that content be that very compelling from the analog that people or our Kenyans go on that platform? The success factors, stakeholder is at the top, government commitment is the other one, affordable, receivers, and etc. Going forward, one aspect, we have done a lot of work on this framework. We are about to adopt it. The major thing that is going to be undertaken is formation of a national committee where stakeholders will be in membership. The decisions to make, all the question marks, do we go national rollout before local? Do we do local before national, or do we do both of them at the same time? Do we allow the current digital platforms that we have to take the carrier? Why not? That makes it cheaper. Or do we license digital only from the word go? The policy and regulatory aspects, I will not go into the details. I think we are well with that. Whatever I ticked here, I think they have been all covered. The committee will be formed under the auspices of the Ministry of ICT. The trials would be the way to go. We need to pilot that technology, start with Nairobi, then Mombasa, Nairobi, Kisumu. For viability, I think we'll focus on these very urban areas where there's demand. At the authority, we need to plan the band itself. Theoretically, if you see that, look at that band, if you just subtract and divide by 1.5, we'll get around 36, 37 channels. If you multiply by the capacity of a digital channel, multiplex is 18 to 24, it's approaching 900. Imagine of 900 radio contents in Mombasa alone. Then there will be business detailed modeling of the rollout phases. We have to establish the costs of connections. Then the roadmap very quickly. We are way towards the finish line. The planning has begun. Will begin next month. Then by 2023, the forum, by July, we'll call upon all of you. It will be a public announcement. We'll call for a forum. The details of the roadmap is there. The ones that are ticked are covered. It's quite detailed, but the key major milestone is set up of the committee and we start implementing. In summary, the detailed report that is in tens of pages is available, and we are able to share when the framework is finally adopted. We'll be getting back to the media fraternity to the popularization and sensitization aspects. Whoever needs information from the authority about this new technology, the opportunity of opening the space, we are open to that and will be available to give you that information. Thank you so much, Victor and Tim.